We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Art School Live. My name is Charlie Hunter. I'm your guest host for this week. Well, Eric is away doing something. Not quite, I think he's in Japan. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? Anyway, today we have an awesome guest, the great Kami Mendlik. Welcome, Kami.
Thanks, Charlie. It's fun to be here.
Now,
I'm,
what are you going to tell us about today?
oh gosh, I think I'll do a painting.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea.
I was trying to decide, but I think I'm going to do a painting. Yeah, so I'm
Brilliant.
going to paint, and I'm going to use my marsh. So a lot of people maybe that follow me, or some people are new, know that I live on a beautiful marsh. I talk about it all the time online, and I paint it, and it's a great source of inspiration. So I'm going to use that, and from my book, Color Relativity, I'm going to share my strategy for creating the illusion of light with color relativity on a landscape, which is just a super simple scene.
Awesome. Well, we have a lot that you're going to try to cover today. Because I mean, not only do you have that book, you also have the new video. You've got all kinds of stuff going on. So it sounds great. Let's get this started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
No, it isn't Eric Rhodes. It's Charlie Hunter in Bellows Falls, Vermont. But anyway, I am your host all this week. You're stuck with me, ladies and gentlemen. Today's guest is the great Kami Mendlik. I'm so excited to see her paint because I've heard about what she's been doing and her planar fruit and all the stuff she's got going on. It's going to be a great show. We'll also talk about her book, Color Relativity, Creating the Illusion of Light with Paint. But first, I got to tell you about today's prize. And what a prize it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is Eric Rhodes Value Specs. Oh, it's amazing. You see through color. You paint perfect values, and it's hands-free. It's hands-free. It is not high fashion. That is a lie. But anyway, to get a chance to win this prize, you tell us in the comments who you are and where you are watching from. Now, last show's winner was Allison Hill from Monhegan, Maine. There are only 6 people in Monhegan, Maine. And so, by gosh, there's going to be a big celebration in Monhegan tonight. I'll tell you that. You won yourself a 1-year digital subscription to Plein Air magazine. Now, all you have to do, Allison, is send an email to asl@streamlinepublishing.com, and you'll be able to claim your prize. Oh. Now, you who are watching, we have a gift for you today. Download the free ebook, 97 Incredible Art Secrets. Not 96 Incredible Art Secrets, not 98 Incredible Art Secrets, 97 Incredible Art Secrets. And we will riff on this all week, I think. Anyway, all you have to do is go to 97artsecrets.com/free. All right. And everyone, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Art School Live on YouTube and Eric Rhodes on Instagram. You can see more of Kami's work, and you really should. It's really inspiring stuff. It's sumptuous. You can see more of Kami's work at kamimendlik.com and visit my website at hunter-studio.com. Yeah, do that too. Now, Kami, take it away.
All right, I'm ready to dig in here. Well, hi, everybody from all over the world, I'm sure, tuning in. So I did this Art School Live a couple years ago with Eric when my book was on pre-order. and it's almost sold out now. So it's kind of exciting that here I am 2 years later, and it was the first time that I introduced my 2-color per average strategy for creating the illusion of light. So we got lots of interesting comments about that. Some people got it and some people didn't. But it caught some interest. So now what I'm going to do today, so you could go back and look at that one if you wanted to too. You could just go on YouTube and pull that up. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my marsh that I live on that I just find so beautiful. And I think of Hawthorne, how he, would say, make much out of little, not little out of much. And to me, that means finding the beauty in the simple. And here in Minnesota, we've got lots of deciduous trees and water, and so we don't have the Grand Canyon or anything like that, but really subtle beauty, probably similar. Well, actually, I go to Vermont quite a bit, so Charlie can probably relate to that. Simple, soft beauty. So here's what I'm going to do here today. I'm going to just use a photo. So this is a photo of the marsh, not super interesting. The photos, I can't see the color that my eyes see when I'm really studying something from life in plein air, that's what I do. I study color from life, which they call plein air. So I'm going to use that photo to kind of show you what I'm working on. And then this is a photo of the color study. So I call plein air painting my color stuff. There we go, color studies. So let's leave that up for a second. So here what I did, if you are one of the 1,300 people that bought my book, you could open your book up and look, kind of follow along with this. But really something that I teach and really believe in that's helped me a lot is to see the averages. So the averages are the most that you see when you squint at a shape. So for instance, the tree line I see as one big average shape. Now, if we're out there, we see billions of leaves and trees and sticks and all this stuff. And a lot of painters that maybe are newer or not as experienced, they try to figure out how they're going to make trees and leaves and make it look like a tree. But I find that it's very helpful to see the abstract. So abstract thinking, pulling from. Abstract doesn't mean making up, it means truth. So you're abstracting or you're pulling from nature, the landscape. So when I look at this, I see 3 big shapes. I see the whole sky as a shape. I never let my sky just be the lazy result of my tree drawing or my tree outline. I look at that as a puzzle piece that fits into the tree line. So I see the sky as a shape. I see the whole tree line as a shape, although there's lots of complexity in there for sure. And then I see that long rectangle on the bottom, which is the marsh with lots of stuff going on in there as a shape. So those are my 3 shapes. Now, notice here, excuse me, that I have the red line. I went into my iPad, which is a great way to start learning to see shapes, is if you have that pen in the iPad. And I took little straight lines, little straight kind of like sticks, and I contoured my tree line. So here's how I teach my students, and here's what I talk about in my book, is I talk about training you to see. Imagine that there's a window pane between you and your scene if you're outside painting, okay? And I gave you a little bag of sticks. So imagine that those little red lines you have are a bag of sticks. And those are plane changes, okay? That's contouring the form. So you can't make any curvy lines. You have to make little straight lines. And you contour it. So now back to the window pane. So you've got the window pane between you and your scene that you're seeing. And you start contouring where there's movement or form or rolling change or variation. You only have these little sticks. That's the first step to creating the illusion of form and actually the character of the tree, okay? And that is why it's so helpful. I use my plain old fruit to understand and to help me remember that. So that's what this is representing, okay? So once I get painting, this is gonna go really fast, but I wanted to take a minute and explain my strategy, how I'm seeing, how it can be helpful to you. And then, do you see the line that separates between the flat lit plane on this overcast morning and the upright tree line? So the upright tree line and the flat lit plane, those are 2 different planes right there. So you've got the upright, not a lot of form going on that's showing in the tree line because this is facing east and a dewy kind of was just raining morning early. The sun isn't even all the way above the tree line yet. It's kind of starting to burn through the rainy night. And the ground plane is nice and wet and rich. All right. So it's a relationship that I'm looking at. The upright plane to the flat lit plane on a cloudy day. And in a way, in this lighting situation, this is a silhouette with subtle form within, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'll show you, you're probably wondering, what are these weird letters? All right, so this is all in my book, strategically 200 pages of how I do this and think and exercises and all that. And it'll be in the video that's going to be released this week from Streamline. But every color can be made of yellow, red, and blue. Those are primaries, all right? Plus white in oil painting. So yellow, red, and blue. So if you see a Y here, it symbolizes yellow. If you see an R, it symbolizes red. And if you see a B, it symbolizes blue. And that's the order of warmest to coolest. I never call a temperature warm or cool because it's relative, all right? Here's an example. Red, you can't say red is hot. You might emotionally think that it is, but red is warmer than blue, cooler than yellow, all right? So that's just a little 101 crash course. All right, so what I did here is I determined the predominant primary. I'm gonna demonstrate this. I think it's time to start painting, but just so you know, I'm going somewhere with this, all right? So let's turn the camera here. I want to show you something too. This is something I did. I don't know if I sent this to these guys. So this is a picture that I did just to kind of amplify the idea even more, even though this is not the purple. I did this in my Procreate or something like that. So I'm not very good at that, but just to show you the shape of this tree line. Could you show them quickly the picture of the actual photo of the scene quick, just so I can, okay. So just look at this for a minute, you guys. All right. So you see green, 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 green and stuff and a bird and all the things. But now, can you go back? Okay. So this is how I see it. I'm not kidding. I don't see it this purple, but I see the relationships of abstraction of a scene. All right. So this is to help you, not to say that it has to be bright purple like this, but to help you see how to see, to make it easier for you. It's so much more fun. All right. So now I'm going to get going here. I'm not going to talk a whole, oops, you got to see my scene, don't you, here now? How's that? Okay. We have this all figured out. All right, this should be good. I think it should be good. So this is just a linen canvas. I just tape it up because it's a study. I probably won't be doing any masterpiece right now in this next half hour.
Linen canvas with acrylic gesso?
It's Centurion linen oil primed. I love oil.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that. And I like it because it's cheap, it's easy. I tape it up. Charlie, you probably do this too. I do so many studies and I just tape it up but I'm still working on a nice surface. So I don't like working on yucky surfaces. Painting's too precious to me, even if it's not anything that I do anything with. Anytime I'm painting outside, you guys too, I'm just kind of getting ready here. I'm always thinking it's just a study. Like right. I'm really not trying to make a good painting. I'm just studying nature and color. In the studio, it's a little bit different, but all right. So in the book, I have a recipe on measuring scale and proportion, and I make boxes. So right now what I'm going to do, I wouldn't typically do this, but so that you can see it, I'm actually going to use a transparent earth red just to draw, because I think you'll see it better on camera, but I'm not toning or anything like that. I'm just drawing with this so you can see. Okay. So typically I like to get some kind of a line down so I can relate it. I already measured this out just to be, more efficient, but I know that I don't want this like exactly 1/4. I want it a little bit off. You know, you don't want to do half of half of half typically. So I've got this a little bit off. So I'm going to start here because you have to have some kind of an anchor point. Even when I'm drawing a flat plane, this is really important. Part of the reason I picked the marsh is wetland, okay? And the video that's coming out is water. So the big element that I teach in the property that's super important to creating the illusion of the form of the land or water gravity pulls flat. A lot of people kind of do this with their shorelines and it doesn't read like water. Well, this, even though there's reeds and stuff growing, you need to paint the lay of the land, and it's heavy, so it's going to be flat. But even as I'm doing this, I don't just draw this perfect line across. There's little like variations. I mean, there's little dips and stuff in here, okay? All right, so I already measured where this is going to go. I've done this a few times. And even as I begin, these are plane changes. But I'm also looking, I'm not just tracing here, I'm kind of checking to see, I'm darting my eye back and forth. I'm so excited to teach you guys so many things that I know I'm not going to have time. But the good thing is there's a video and there's a book, but
it's fascinating to me that you're using straight lines. And I'm assuming that is kind of a shorthand rather than having to worry about getting the volumetric with curves. Because you're very definite about saying, think of it as a bag of sticks. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's wildly amazing how people learn so well by doing this, because you teach, and you've probably seen this, what people do. Like, can you see this little branch here? Humans over amplify the exceptions. It's just
really,
normal.
you're absolutely right.
Yep.
You're a really good teacher. I can already tell. I mean, I
love teaching. Like, it's so exciting. You know, Charlie, I had a major learning disability. Like, I couldn't read when I was a kid because they couldn't quite figure it out, but I was extremely dyslexic. And so I knew things, but I couldn't do it the way other people could do it. And I really think that has a lot to do with even like my passion for helping people, or finding another way to say something. Just because it's like, it was so hard for me and so frustrated, and I felt super, super, super dumb, you know, and stupid, I should say, and alone. And I just was like, you know, and now it's like, oh, I'm actually not. I'm pretty smart. And I think there's a lot of people that this way of thinking, I don't think I'm the only one. You know, I've taught a lot of people and it's working. All right, so right now you can see by just contouring the shape, you can kind of tell what this is, even though it's simple. So I always say simple, not easy. This looks easy. This is not easy. This is harder than making fluffy stuff. I used to make fluffy stuff. All right, so now here we have up here, I'm going to get right into color right away. So this is my first average, my second average, my third average. So this is an abstraction. I'm abstracting 3 shapes from the landscape. Up here, you'll see that I have my Y, R, and B. That's yellow, red, blue. I always do that to remind myself. All right, so this isn't just totally for you guys. I don't know. I don't even probably just teach for you. I teach because it's really good for me to articulate and keep my brain exercised. So let's see. Somewhere I have a pastel pencil. So what I do, and I've already done the strategy, and I'm blowing through this so fast. I basically have 20 minutes to paint this whole thing now. So you saw on there, can you give them quickly that picture with the letter strategies again? With the color study, the plein air color study. She's probably like, this is. Is she there? Okay, well.
She's not there, but we can see it. We can see it up in your upper left there.
Okay,
yeah, right
so
there.
What I had showed you guys before.
Yes, that one.
So you might wonder, you might see someone and they painted purple trees and you're wondering, how are the trees purple? I don't see purple, okay? So yeah, I mean, if you picked a leaf, they're not purple. But it's about relationships. It's about relativity, okay? So what I saw that morning this was a demo I did for a plein air class out here, is the ground plane was so wet in that virgin June, like limey, soft green that you almost can't believe. And there's all these pinks and purples and beautiful things. I see and I love all the stuff too, believe me. But when I scanned the whole scene and I thought, if my life depended on it, what is more green, purple, or orange? So I knew for sure that I really wanted to show the beautiful, rich green, and it was glowing and it was warm-ish. So I knew that it was green, but it had to be what's first in the predominant order. Is it more yellow or blue? Well, I saw that it was warmer. So it's predominantly yellow, secondary blue, and of course there's tertiary of a red, but we're going to eliminate the tertiary right now, okay, to see color relativity. And then I go up to the trees, and when I look at the trees, I'm like, yeah, they're green. But is it my brain that just knows trees are green? When I squint at the whole scene and I scan through and I just keep moving my eye around, all of a sudden, if my life depended on it and I was to make this green, because everything in nature is tertiary, which is yellow, red, and blue that I've seen ever. Predominantly, it's blue. It's the darkest thing out there. I mean, it was darker than a half tone. It's darker than a 5. So, you know, yellow and red are not darker than 5. So first of all, there's that practical, logical sequence of process of elimination. And then it's pretty tertiary. So then I'm like, okay, well then it would be red would be my secondary. And then yes, there is yellow to make it tertiary or gray it or neutralize it. Those are all the same thing. But this is how I'm getting this strategy. Then up in the sky, I saw some really cool stuff. There are beautiful bands of like a peachy color and a purple color. So the purple was easy for me to see, but it was warmer than this. So now red is warmer. So I did R first and B second. And then I had these beautiful bands of this peachy color. Well, peach doesn't really help me. So what are the letters? What are the 2 letters that peachy color, if you were to make, what's peachy? It's kind of orange, right? Yellow, red, YR. So this is a strategy. And now you're not going to just get this right now, but maybe it'll make some sense to people or pique your curiosity enough. I can't say enough. This is not enough time. A week is not enough time to teach all this, but it's introducing some people. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my darkest, largest area, which is my uprights. Okay. I'm going to get an average. The average is the most that I see when I squint. This one I'm going to walk through a little slower. I'm going to show you how I mix it because people really love that.
Yep.
But can you see that, Charlie?
Yep. You can see it loud and clear.
So I went pretty basic with my limited palette. I've got a CAD yellow light. I've got a CAD red. I think this is CAD red medium. They're slightly different, but they're 2 different brands. I don't know what brand, and it doesn't matter to me. This is alizarin crimson. This is ultramarine blue. And this is titanium white. So I always make a big long snake. So from one end I can take for dark colors and the other end I can take for light colors. On the upright, and I'm going to get a lot of paint. Paint like you're rich, right? And believe me, I was not. Not that I am now, but definitely can pay my bills. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I decided it's predominantly blue. So I'm starting with, and my palette is halftone. It's number 5 on the value scale. So I know that that's an upright, darker. So I know that it needs to be a little bit darker than halftone. All right. So right now, all I'm doing is trying to get my predominant primary, which I decided is blue, to about the value that I want it to be. And to help me earlier, I just mixed so I can kind of check right here. This is where I'm trying to get to with just red and blue. Okay. So right now, that's a little bit darker, but I'm going to add some white to the side. And now I'm going to add some alizarin crimson. And I'm not going to just put it right in that pile right away because I want to control the merging of this gray that I'm going to make out of ultramarine, and alizarin. I may add a warmer red, we'll see. But right now I'm just kind of getting these mixed up. Now I'm going to start merging these. So I've got warmer to cooler. And really, I'm trying to paint so fast for you guys.
You're doing great. You're doing great. This is like a semester in an hour. So
it is. You're so right. This is fun, Charlie. Can't believe that we've never met until now.
Well,
I'm sure a fan though of your work.
that's the correct thing to say. If you thought it sucked, it would be too bad.
It would be too bad. My loss, right?
Right. Hey, should we do the while you're mixing?
Yeah.
Is this when we should jump and do the little bit of promo that they want us to, or do you need people to be watching you right now?
Let me finish, and then
Okay.
let me finish this for a minute, because actually I'm close to showing them how I'm going to adjust this.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just show you. So this was just. I did take a little bit of red. You know how you start mixing. I'm going to just show you how I'm going to check this right now. So when I tell my students, make a note, you just make a note. So you can't really tell down here, and you can't really tell up there either because it's white. I think I could go just a tiny bit lighter, and so I'm going to add a little bit of white. So maybe now you could jump.
All right. Then this looks like a great time to take a little break to talk about the plein air convention. We'll be right back. Oh, where'd Amandine go? Oh, it's a well-oiled machine, ladies and gentlemen. It's a well-oiled machine here. Well, okay, I guess Kami's video release, Mastering Water, The Secrets of Color and Reflection, the brand new full-length workshop from PaintTube, featuring Kami Mendlik. It can be found right here at https:/PaintTube.tv/Mendlik. This 5+ hour course comes out this Wednesday, March 27th. You can secure your copy today using that link, PaintTube.tv/Mendlik. I think it's probably going to be a fantastic video, ladies and gentlemen. Second thing is the plein air convention. For those of you who have not heard yet, Streamline has a 5-day convention called the Plein Air Convention and Expo with over 80 world-renowned instructors. The sad news, actually, I think it's great news, but the script they give me says the sad news is the event is now sold out, but you can join the wait list in case somebody cancels. This year's PACE is May 20th to 24th in the Great Smoky Mountains and at Biltmore Estate. Hot diggity. Go to pleinairconvention.com for more information. And 3, don't forget to look at my videos. It's not all about Kami here and not all about PACE. No, don't forget to look at my videos, including the brand new Edges, Breakthrough Painting Techniques, Breakthrough Designs for Landscapes, and Rule-Breaking Landscapes. Really, the Edges one is pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. You can find it on PaintTube.tv/ASL. All right, back to painting, ladies and gentlemen, back to painting.
Okay, cool. That was good, Charlie.
Thanks.
Good job. It's fun. All right. Okay, I'll be at PACE. Will you be at PACE?
No.
Okay.
Take it away. Do brilliant things now.
Okay. So, all right. So now I've kind of got that. I've got that purple, and I can adjust it a little bit here and there if I want to. But I'm going to start by just getting a mass in. All right. Now, pay attention to this. This is interesting. So even when it's so habitual now for me, but even when I'm painting with a paintbrush, I'm always looking back and forth at my scene, and notice how my strokes are very plano. I'm thinking and contouring. I'm always in tune to the form. And this is really cool because later with paint and edges, you can push and pull the paint and make beautiful edges. And the key is I think, using enough paint to make beautiful edges. It's not a fluffy little feathering technique. For me, it's paint. And you say you have a video on edges?
Really, it's about squeegee technique, but it
Cool.
is, I mean, squeegee is obviously all about edges. So
Yeah.
hard edges, soft edges, lost edges, found edges. Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see that. I've been wanting to try that squeegee thing for sure. All right, so right now I'm just filling in, I'm paying attention. I'm not just filling this in like a coloring book. I'm paying attention, and just because I put those lines there doesn't mean that's for sure right. I might improve them or see something. Right. Getting it covered. So before I get too far down here, I want to talk about what's going on in this area in front. So the trees that are going against the sky are more of a silhouette, so you're not going to see as much form because of the light behind it. But the trees that are in front of the other trees, so these are like marsh willows and river willows and stuff like that, and they're just volume filled. So that's where it's really fun to make form. So you're going to see the form more in here, even though it's a flat light. Okay, flat is overcast day. So this is where it's kind of helpful for me, and I use these all the time to just kind of think about, all right, so if this is the center of the light and this form is rolling forward, that's really helpful for me. So right now, I'm going to just decide where I want, between all my references on this painting, where I want to just kind of symbolize the form in the front, right?
So one of the things that you're doing is you've first simplified it down into the jigsaw puzzle of those big shapes.
Yeah.
And now you're basically doing a couple of secondary big shapes inside one of those big shapes.
Totally. Like some people might say primary and secondary, right? Yeah, exactly. But I think
the way you're breaking it down is so intelligent and so comprehensible to people. I think this is great.
Well, and it's, you know what, quite frankly, it's just fun. I mean, it makes it, I always just kind of chisel away. I'm going a little bit darker and warmer down here at the base. Just little adjustments here now. I'm still just red and blue. But it's a way to start, and it's not how to paint. It's a strategy to think, to problem solve. And I mean, isn't that what painting is? It's like a series of problem solving, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just say, oh, we'll paint the trees, and there's so many that are just painting and just here's how you paint. But humans really want to know why. Why, how? What do we see? Why are we seeing it? And then when we understand what we're seeing, we can see it. I always think about, so I'm getting little variations in. I'm going to quick show them my palette really quickly. So you can see that I'm going a little bit darker and warmer here. So I added some of these reds. All right. So that's for the base there. So I'm not just filling in my average right now for this demo. I could do that, but I think about Leonardo da Vinci, and isn't this fascinating? I mean, I just idolize him, but the fact that he taught people scale and proportion and that shadows tell the tale of form, that's pretty wild. That before he discovered the scale and the proportion of the human, figure, eyeballs were a little high, pre-Renaissance, and, the mouths were a little small, and there was all this stuff. And then it's not like the day that he kind of discovered even that shadow, like the shadow tells the tale of form. I think it's in my book. I referred to it. I can't remember the exact quote, but basically that it's so wild to me that light doesn't exist without shadow, and shadow doesn't exist without light. And what that is, you guys, is relativity. It's an illusion, but that before that, some people maybe saw it, but for the most part, even in teaching and painting, it really wasn't a thing. Paintings were darker, and so we don't just pop out of the chute seeing these obvious things. We need to be taught how to see. It's really fascinating. I think little kids probably can see better than we can. Like at one time we saw the truth.
Right. I think that's true. I think we get so sidetracked with what we think we know
Yeah.
that we forget how to see.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, it's crazy. Crazy beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to, as long as I'm into this, I'm just gonna keep going here. Start getting a little bit, I gotta get lighter. I'm adding now, I'm gonna show them this.
Yeah.
Are they gonna make me stop at a certain time?
Yeah, we're keeping track of it.
Like how much time do I have?
You're at 36 minutes, and we need to be done in an hour, so you've got some time.
Oh, good, okay.
But don't get slack now. You
I'm
got
not, I'm rocking and rolling. But I want to show them how to not separate
Yep.
the tertiaries. So here. All right. So this cannot be disjointed. It has to be in harmony with this upright average, okay? It cannot compete with this. So I know that in this lighting situation, this form that's showing in here on the trees, let's just call it trees, cannot compete with this. I don't want this to be disjointed or disconnected from this average. How I do that, I'm having to do all this tech stuff. I don't have a team here. Is I took some yellow into this mother pool, all right? Look at this beautiful gray that I am making by just adding yellow into my mother pool, all right? Instead of making its own color, I'm not making its own color, and these are only primaries. So now I'm gonna go up here and see how I'm doing. So I'm gonna just get, that looks pretty good. So I'm not gonna get too many variations, but I am starting to create form. And as I'm painting and blocking this in, I might be seeing little notes or changes and just touching a little bit of the cooler paint. Lighter, darker, cooler, warmer is kind of how I move through. I'm constantly glancing at my fruit to remind myself to help me to see the form in here. I cannot stress enough how important that is to understand how important it is to get form to be able to paint decent trees. All right, so that's an average.
Kami, Barbara Tapas, is this considered underpainting? I would say it isn't really. This is a study in and of itself, is it not?
Yeah, this is not an underpainting. I don't know about you, Charlie, but I consider an underpainting transparent or semi-transparent, like a tone, and I do that sometimes, but I'm not doing that here. I'm doing a study.
And one thing I would urge folks to look at is on Kami's website. Look at her planar fruit. It's really, it makes so much sense. It's a way of looking at a volumetric form as that series of little sticks she was talking about. And so now this paint that you're applying now, that color is that pool you had over there on the left. Is that correct?
Yep, and I made this during that when did I make this? During a break. So this is just, I did the same process, predominantly yellow, secondary blue. It's only 2 colors plus white, all right? So I'm just blocking in my averages right now. So I would call this, was it Barbara that you said asked a question?
Yes.
Okay, so Barbara, I would say this is a block in. I'm blocking in my averages to set and create the harmony, okay? And I can adjust these, and I will. And I'm painting like a mad woman right now to try to get this covered, just to set the harmony.
You're doing great.
Thank you. But just to really stress how important it is, I know that like some people work in one area and finish, like, I mean, I used to watch, when Richard Schmid was alive, and he would do the demos and like paint and then like move out. I was like, wow. So I think there's a few people that can do that, but not me. I really like to get all my averages up and then refine and refine and refine until there's no weak places, and then the painting's done. Mm-hmm. And that's how I work. Okay, so there's my average. So I'm starting to create, the illusion of grass. It's just one average. All right, we got to get the sky, and I'm cleaning my brush. So you guys also, a lot of questions I get about what medium to use. I don't use a medium. I just clean my brushes with Gamsol, and I just paint. I just whip up the paint. I'm not against it. I just don't need it or use it. Okay, so now the sky, and as long as I'm mixing, I might as well show you what I'm doing. Whoops. Ew. This is tacky here. All right, so because I'm starting with the sky is lighter, so I'm gonna go for that purple first. Oops, I was gonna do red first, wasn't I? All right, so red first. So red is super strong. I'm using pure primaries. They're pretty potent. So I'm gonna dap the red off to the side and start merging the white in so I don't lose control there. I got a little bit of dirty stuff in my brush here. And, you know, I love Viva paper towels, so that I don't get anything for saying that. I just really can't paint without them. And I wear a glove. Usually I wear 2 gloves, but I forgot to. The most important hand to keep covered is my one that hangs onto the towel. All right, so you can see that I started merging. It's predominantly red because I thought it was warmer. It's so the red is the warmer one. That's why I did that first. So you can see that this is lighter than halftone. These are darker than halftone. This is lighter than halftone. I'm comparing to my palette. In my book, I have a recipe for making your own halftone palette. Some of the palettes that they're selling are too dark, so that can be tricky. It doesn't help. So that's pretty good. I got lucky. This is the color I wanted. It's all to do with luck, right, Charlie? You just mix a bunch of stuff together and then maybe it will work out. No. Yeah, I don't think it's luck. So
sometimes the magic works, sometimes it doesn't.
yeah.
But boy, that is so relatively warm compared to the purple. Now your color relativity is absolutely coming true. Yeah. Once you get those juxtaposed with one another.
Juxtaposition. And just the thing with the sky, don't try, I would say my recommendation is don't try like finishing it or finessing it, just get it up there, then play with it. But you have to have enough paint. So I'm gonna show, maybe I'll cut into this a little bit, it might be fun. I didn't make enough paint after I just preached about it.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. All right, so let's just say I wanna make that go through there. So this down here, so clouds get cooler as they recede down, lights get warmer. So I'm gonna just actually add a little blue and white to that mixture because why not just get it closer to what it needs to be. So there's this little piece right here. So I'm gonna just cool that a little bit. I just added a little bit of blue and white to the mixture, but of course I didn't have quite enough paint. So that will even help with atmospheric perspective. So color, I mean, the properties of color really, I think are key to atmospheric perspective. I'm gonna just get a little bit of fill in here. So now let's make that peachy color. And I need to make another space on my palette.
Take a moment to do that, and we'll show the little clip about your new video while you do that.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'd like to see that. I haven't seen it yet.
In this video, I'm going to teach you how to paint realistic water and reflections. What's unique about this instructional video is that I'm going to be sharing with you my 30 years experience painting water firsthand. And I'm going to pass along to you the tips and tricks that I have learned to create the illusion of realistic reflections in water. I think the number one thing that holds students back is fear. And I think that fear comes from not knowing confidently how to mix color. My approach to oil painting has all to do with how I see the world in shapes of color and how one color relates to another. The top things you're going to learn from this video is how to paint realistic water, how to use an expanded limited palette to create harmonious color and light in your paintings. This painting demonstration that I'm doing on water and reflections will be really inspiring for you because I am so passionate about painting water, and I just think passion ripples through the canvas.
All right, that looks terrific.
Did it? I haven't seen it yet. I did review the video though, and I have to say, it's really good. I did it a while ago, so I was hoping it was good, and they did a great job, and it's very thorough, you guys. It's very thorough. I was thinking of my daughter and I watched through it, made sure that it all made sense and everything as I reviewed it, and I'm like, gosh, I just talked the whole time. If you can imagine that. Okay, so they're just two colors, and I'm just getting this average in. I'm not making any fancy stuff.
So what are your two colors now that you're working on?
Apple light and CAD red and white. That's it.
Okay, great.
So right now I'm only on secondaries. Isn't that interesting? Because you can get a beautiful, desaturated and saturated colors with just two colors. So we can do it. And then when I start working into the tertiaries is when the magic happens, all the subtleties and stuff like that. So let's see. How much time do I have, Charlie? Like minutes wise?
You got about 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. So this is another one. I won't obviously have time to really finish this, but sky holes are, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that message me and ask me about my sky holes, which is always funny to me. But probably because I paint so many, deciduous trees, leafless and leafy deciduous. I've studied it a lot. I don't really know how I learned it except by just looking. But what happens with sky holes, you guys, is the color is more saturated and a little bit more condensed than the sky. So if you make it the same color as the sky, it looks like polka dots on your trees. And so you just have to study. And usually what happens in between, this stuff is there's little leaves and there's little branches and things, but it's a color. So if you really squint down, what is the color you see? Well, it gets a little bit darker and a little bit saturated. And usually there's like a little bit of a warmer kind of glow around there. I see it also happening around the tops of leaves. And think about it. So each leaf is doing something and they're in different directions and they're planes. So they're reflecting different colors of the sky. The dome of the sky is up here. Maybe one's really dark and cooler and bluer, and maybe one is reflecting from the sun that's warmer and lighter. And so what that does is makes vibration. So it's got to be a color. It's not a technique, it's a color. So you study that. And you just look. So that's what I have to say about that. I need more time.
You're doing great. We're not solving the world's problems here. We're simply giving people a peek into your process. And I think this is brilliant and fascinating.
It's fun. So I'm just starting to, even when I'm doing this, I'm seeing what's important. Where did the tree trunks grow? The space, I pay attention to that. I saw that morning that it was when I'm, painting and working from my studies, it's kind of like transports me back. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of fill this in now because I want to get into a little bit more stuff here. All right, so that's my block in. That's it. So now this is where I want to talk about form. So here's the plain old fruit, and I created these for my students about 17 years ago when I was painting trees and I'm like, roll the form. And this lady, I come up and it was really sweet and innocent, but she's going like this, like circling. And I go, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm rolling the form. And I thought, I'm a failure. They're not doing this. Like they're thinking that they're supposed to make curlicues to roll the form. and it is a weird way to say it, roll it. Well, I think it's rolling around. So I was with my kids that night. Now they're 23 and 25, but I was at the table and I started playing with fruit and Sculpey and, you know, baking them and making these and brought them into my classes. And they got it immediately because it's an amplified, there's planar heads and different things like that, but I could not find anywhere. I would rather have bought them, spent 17 years trying to figure this out. But I was so passionate about helping people understand how to see form in trees that I made these. So when I'm looking at my tree line, I have these sitting everywhere in my studio. So they're getting blown out here. But so that I'm understanding that, oh yeah, this is a foreshortened plane. This is where the volume comes out. This is where the volume tucks in. And I'm using these all the time. In my students' work, it just, everything changed. They were seeing color. They were understanding light. They were understanding halftone that reveals the form. Everything changed when they started using those. And only this year did we finally start making them available. But it's been, trust me, a labor of love. That's about it.
It looks like a brilliant idea.
It's pretty fun. So now, talking about this form that I'm rambling on and on about, every stroke that I make is representing a plane change, okay? So I know that the center, from studying the fruit, I know that the center of light is right here on these averages. So as the form, these are little volumes, like little heads of broccoli. They're not just flat. These are like heads of broccoli, but they're flatter appearing against the sky. So as these are rolling to me, I'm not just making a painterly painting. That's the other thing that people ask me a lot is, I want to learn your brushwork. That's not a thing. You can't learn someone's brushwork. Every stroke of paint that I make represents a color, a plane change, and a light or a shadow. And then if you get good enough at it, what happens is you can just leave it alone, and that's what people call painterly. So it's not sloppy or a style, it's informed, I would say.
Just so you know, I mean, there's a brilliant thing going on, which is that we can see the planar fruit over your shoulder.
Yeah.
And that is, you can A/B back and forth between what you're doing and the planar fruit, and it makes so much sense. The other thing is that we have to end in about 3 minutes.
Okay.
So just take us out with the last bits of brilliance that you can in the remaining.
Okay. Well, let's do that then. So I'm going to just let's turn this for a second. I have an opportunity, so I'm going to take advantage of it. Because it maybe can reach more people. So let's just do this. Hi. So here we go. So I wanted to show you. So this is the book that I have this morning, I think it was 72 copies left or 70 or something. And this is the hardcover. Soft covers are on their way, all right? But what I wanted to show you, for those of you that have it or don't, in this chapter is what I'm demonstrating here. So this is a piece that ended up actually at a museum exhibition with the Hudson River School painters. So that was pretty cool. This is the study. This is the plein air, and then I did a big one from it. But this is how I show in my book exactly what I'm doing. So this is a lot of plein air studies in here. And then I go through a lot, but properties of color. A really cool thing that I did, a lot of people have a hard time understanding saturation. So I created a saturation wheel that you can practice and try to learn and understand how saturation works and what it is, if I can find it. So there's this in there that's super helpful to help people understand that. And then it goes into keys of light in the back. And I show like examples of warmer light, cooler light, and what happens and the properties of that. I talk about car painting, if you want to know about that. And the plano fruit. All right. So, yeah, I think that's about.
And that book is available in a package deal from Streamline with the video?
So you can get it from Streamline in a bundle. I don't know the details of that, but they have some of the books because they got them before they were sold out. You can get them in a bundle from Streamline, or you can go if you just wanted the book. They don't, well, I think they are selling the books too.
We are selling the books.
Okay.
They are also selling the books. The voice of God just told us that they are selling the books too, ladies
There
and
she
gentlemen.
is. The wizard has appeared. So, and you can also go to Color Relativity and get the plano fruit. The soft cover book will be available in weeks to come. That'll be interesting. Look at your cat.
Yes, he's decided to show up toward the end. Well, this has been fascinating, Kami. I mean, I think you're just an incredibly gifted teacher, and the work you do is just sumptuous. So, gosh, this has just been great. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to stop by Kami's website, stop by the Streamline site, and join us again tomorrow for another Art School Live. Thanks again.
Yeah. Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
So I do have a workshop that has a couple openings on the fundamentals that I'm teaching. It's online. If you go to kamimendlik.com, and then there's more information on colorrelativity.com. And of course, the video of water is coming out on Streamline.
On Wednesday. All right. Yeah. Kami, thanks everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.